Here we go. So welcome, Frank Mallozzi. I never
Hey,
thought
Mike.
that I would get you on next week's Life's podcast. How'd that happen, man? But Frank, welcome to the show. It's man, how many years have we worked together and known each other?
Oh,
How
wow.
long?
It's got to be about almost 30, about 30 years, 30 years ago,
Unbelievable.
right?
Unbelievable. So welcome to the show. And for all the people in the audience, just a couple of quick stories. So Frank and I worked together for years over at Ricoh. And he was in the marketing team. He did all kinds of phenomenal stuff with color. And that's where we really got to know each other way back when. And I remember one day Frank came in my office, and I love Frank. I mean, how can you not love Frank and respect Frank? So he comes to my office. It's late in the afternoon or in the evening, early evening, and he comes over and he goes, "Hey, Mike, I need to talk to you for a minute." So now, when someone says that to you, it's usually not, "Hey, let's go have a drink." It's usually, "I have a very serious question that I have for you." And he did. And it was really about his career path. And we had a great conversation about it. And Frank, I hope you remember.
Oh, I
the
never,
out-
I won't forget it. I will not forget that. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday.
So it took you on a pretty wonderful journey. And it took you, as I think you mentioned to me, 25 or 24 years with EFI. So if you don't mind, I understand from you that after a very long journey at EFI, you're breaking free in a whole new category of your career and life. So tell us a little bit about that, Frank. What's going on?
Oh, absolutely. So, Mike, I remember it was over 25 years ago, and went into your office, and the role, if you remember, I took at EFI was to run the European business, which I had no clue. So interesting is I had built a pretty good career at Ricoh, loved the company, loved what you were doing and what the company was doing. And literally I was going to, pretty much it was a departure from what I built and really to go start all over with something new in Europe. So I decided to make the move. I was young enough to say, hey, let's go make the move. And I moved my family out there and moved to London for about 3 years and ran the European business. And if you remember back then, it was the fiery business.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my wife, I think it was a couple of weeks after you and I spoke, I said, I want to be part of the fiery organization. And who knows, it's going to probably be about a two-year thing. And then, the industry is going to change and I'll go find something else. Well, 25 years later, that wasn't the case. It wasn't just the fiery, and for many people out there, they still look at EFI as the fiery company, but we did 45 acquisitions during that time. We bought ERP companies, we bought e-commerce companies, we did a lot of bolt-on in terms of the ecosystem for commercial and production print. And then what we decided to do was to get into more of the printing engines, go actually sell marking engines just like our OEM partners. But we didn't want to compete. So what we did is we went ahead and we acquired industrial print technology before it was even industrial print. So we acquired Viewtech and Reggiani and a number of different companies. And I've got to be honest with you, I usually after 5-6 years, I get a little antsy and I wanted to make a move, but over the last 25 years, we re-engineered ourselves so many times that I never really thought about it. The time flew, learned a lot, built what was an OEM-based company to a full-on go-to-market company with direct salespeople, global major accounts focused on the commercial, production, industrial print segments of the market. And so, as you know, we were public. And about 3.5 years ago, we were acquired by private equity. Great company, great group of people. And I don't have to say anything about private equity. They do their thing. And, I kind of thought, I was the guy that grew the business and I'm a growth guy. And I think it was just time after 25 years to kind of turn the reins over to the next generation and let them do what they need to do with the organization. And for me, I'm just so excited because it's been 25 years under the EFI umbrella. And just to kind of take all that knowledge and experience and kind of share it with the dealer community and the industries that we've participated in all these years, Mike, is just an incredible opportunity. So I'm kind of excited that I'm kind of a free agent.
Well, so now that you're a free agent, and I want to come back to the acquisitions too, because this is kind of tied to this part of the conversation with industrial print or garment printing or textile printing and so on. But is it okay if I share with the audience that obviously I'm thrilled that you put in a phenomenal career over at EFI. But I'd like to share with the audience that you and I have had a series of great conversations. And I think you've had some with Hero and others. And you're going to join the consortium. Is that okay to say?
Absolutely.
It's official here.
Okay. Absolutely official here. I am thrilled about it. Yes.
So when you think about, and obviously the consortium has been just an unbelievable experience for me. We started it when I was 70 years old. Now I'm 72 and I'm having a blast. We have wonderful people involved. Now you're going to be involved. From previous conversations, you came to the Executive Connection Summit. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a little bit about that, your feeling about it. What did you take away from the summit? And then I'm going to come back to this production printing thing. So what was your takeaway, Frank?
So Mike, as you know, your summits, I did attend early on to a couple of your summits, and then there was a big gap in between because our big users conference Connect in Las Vegas was always during the same week. So since, again, I'm a free agent this year, I was able to come down and participate. I got to be honest with you. I sat through every session and I took a ton of notes. I could not believe, first of all, the blueprint you put together is absolutely amazing. And the content, the relevant content that was presented to the group that attended there, and I viewed a lot of the all of the material as well. It just blew my mind that there's just so many changes, and you, as well as the industry, is so on top of it. And to really go in and kind of couple that content with how do we get this to market, and how do we take an established industry that is tried and proven and take it sort of to the next level, I think is just absolutely spot on. And sort of why I'm so excited is because there's a lot of what I've done over the last 25 years in industrial and commercial print. I see both industries in terms of where we participated and where I saw the office equipment and the dealer, let's call it the dealer channel that it is today. I think is a great opportunity to represent some of those new opportunities that I see, and I think putting that together is fabulous. And your venue and your approach to doing this is second to none, and I wanted to be part of it.
Well, I'm excited. After all these years of in between, we've maintained our friendship. We've been big supporters of each other. I'm thrilled, to be able to look at and have dinner with you at a Canada dinner or wherever we are here and there. But to have you as part of this group, I think, is just absolutely incredibly opportunistic. The industry itself, as you noticed from the summit, everyone's focused on things beyond the copier print, right? But production print, garment, textile printing, all of those things have become critically important to transitioning the business into other things for a dealer or, even an OEM. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled you're here. And one of the things I wanted to kind of talk to you about, it seems like a lot of the OEMs are building out some new partnerships and or building out their own products, right, for production print or print, even textile printing. One of the things I know you did, you got involved with an acquisition, I think it was an Italian company, if I'm not mistaken.
Reggiani. Yep.
Reggiani,
out of Italy, yes.
And so you were very actively involved. Was that textile printing or was that production print or both?
That was actually it's textile print, full on textile printing. And when I say textile printing, there's two areas of textile printing: the analog print, where you're doing long runs onto all types of material, fabrics
Yeah.
and so on, cottons and such. And Reggiani also has a line of digital printers, flatbed and roll printers that will enable you to print onto a whole array of materials, synthetics, that you see today. So digital is taking off. This is not specific to Reggiani, but more about what's going on in the market. Only about, I think, 6 to 8% of the market is digitally penetrated, which basically means 92 to 96%, 92 to 94% still is using analog technology, which basically is produced overseas because of the economics associated with apparel and fabric printing. That's changing, especially when the pandemic hit. All the supply chain issues has
Right.
challenged the market. And the second part, when you look at textile print, the demographic today, when you look at the younger demographic, they're very much into personalization and they want change. So if you walk into a Zara, you walk into an H&M, those designs are changing almost every month. And it's impossible to keep up with the seasons, a monthly season, as opposed to if you look at analog, traditionally you had really 3 seasons that showed up on the shelf because the supply chain could only support 3 seasons. Now you fast forward and you bring the production and you onshore that production either on site at the distribution centers or right at the point of sale in some of these cases like an H&M or Zara. You print locally and you print what you need. And it's no different than print on demand that we've done years ago with commercial print. So that's starting to evolve and really starting to take fold. And and again, it hasn't even taken off. It's still only a 6 to 8%, like I said, penetration.
So that's an amazing growth opportunity, basically. No, doesn't matter how you look at that. 96% is just full powerhouse opportunity. So are you going to
Big
be,
time.
so when you look at the dealer community, and we're all very much aware of this need to, and the opportunity to get into, larger digital printing or production print or any of the categories. One of the things that I know you're very keenly interested in is to provide your expertise for the dealer community where you can help them build out their plan or assess their plan. Or even, is it possible that you can even pick a partner for them that they might want to be associated with?
Yes, absolutely, Mike. So, yes to all the above. I think the thing I can really help the dealers with is, and I think that there's always sort of either mental block or a barrier to entering some of these new markets because many think it may be a new investment. Now, think about EFI as an example, and again, I'm not saying anything that's not public. We had evolved as a company that built DFEs, digital front ends. So those dealers that have made the investment in production print could easily create those adjacencies, albeit either in out-of-home digital display graphics, packaging, or textile. Because in a textile production, you have pre-press, you have all of the pre-flighting workflow that you would do in a cut sheet environment. You have the actual production, you have the finishing and fulfillment. So those steps in the process is really no different. And I'll be honest with you, I'll give you this is my assessment. I think that there's more expertise in the dealer channel supporting these digital engines out there than what you do see in some packaging and textile environments. It is so the talent that we have in the dealer community is so robust. And that's why I keep scratching my head. I'm so passionate about this because I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. And if you read all of the studies post-pandemic about onshoring, there are companies like commercial printers that are looking to invest in what's the next best thing. So they'll have a Canon or Ricoh production engine in one side of their shop. They may be running a Heidelberg press, give or take. They'll run a couple of wide format printers, and they're looking for that next thing. What is it? Is it packaging, i.e., is it textile? And some of them
Right.
have invested in the textile space. So I think, and there are different segments that the dealer can start with, and I think I still see that as a great opportunity.
So, there's probably two sides of this conversation. Maybe a dealer that hasn't made an investment yet in production print, as an example, and the flip side of that is the one that has. You're going to be able to help either side of that conversation for the dealer.
Yes,
Is that
yes,
safe to say?
and yes, and those dealers that have not, help them maybe scope out potentially where are the opportunities for them. They may not necessarily have to go out and represent a piece of hardware, but there are certain components within that sort of workflow that they may have enough expertise to build a business around.
So we just got, we're just off the heels of a pretty successful ECS. And one of the things that we're going to try and do with your support is bring a package, basically allowing for the dealer to come back to you directly, and either through webinars or one-on-one activity with you. This is what you're going to be pursuing very quickly now after this podcast and going forward. So given that scenario, how do you want people to get a hold of you? Through the consortium or directly? What are we doing there, Frank?
So that's a good question, Mike. So this is all this is so all new to me and exciting. And I did have some time to think about this. Of course, it's most likely, I think, start with through the consortium. We go through the consortium.
All right. So for the audience, Frank has just finished his paperwork. We have his all his contact information. We'll make sure that we put it across the bottom here as we go forward. So, Frank, a couple other quick questions. So, given the opportunity, what do the gross margins look like? What can they expect given the core business compared to the core business?
That's a good question, and I think if you get in a little bit, you get a little bit deeper. It depends on the segment of the lineup. So, if you look at, wide format has 4 different segments in itself. And as you move more up market into that production category, the post-sales aftermarket is absolutely off the charts. So when you look at a particular, you look at a wide format printer, it's interesting. Most people look at wide format printers and they think that it's just for posters and signage. But in fact, you'd be surprised what they're really utilized for. There are companies out there that outsource watch bands, leather watch bands, that print on wide format printers and then go to an automated laser cutter, and those watch bands are then cut and formed and put in itself. You would be surprised. There's hockey pucks. How do you get that image on a hockey puck? Well, it goes in a jig and it goes into a wide format press. So the applications are endless, and I think it really depends on the application. So there are many, many companies that are very niche, and what is sold into those markets are all niche components. Margins are quite attractive, and the margins are going to be obviously in the post-sales supply annuity, which is pretty lucrative, and then of course the services, the preventative maintenance, and workflow services that our dealer community knows so well. It's all about color management and color correction. When you think about substrates and how you manage and color manage substrates on a cut sheet device, think about the amount of substrates that you have when you're in a wide or super wide category. So that's just one example. Same thing holds true in the packaging in the corrugated space. That market is booming right now, and that market cannot afford. So when you look at the corrugated providers, these are folks that make cardboard, and to net it all out, they convert the cardboard into either a finished box or what have you, and in some cases they print on these finished boxes, including some of these commercial print houses that moved into wide format. Instead of printing again on a piece of vinyl or piece of fabric, they're going to print on corrugated. And the corrugated market, or the need for corrugated printing it's been around a while, but what's changing is the short runs. E-commerce has driven those short run applications. When you look at e-commerce and you look at these subscription boxes and you look at, I'd like to use an example like a wine club. You go get your shipment for the quarter and you open up that box and you have this incredible unboxing experience. They almost want to give you that sort of retail sort of feel when you're opening it up, and graphics are required. And today, the only way that you're going to get the economics out of the short run is through digital print. So that's a groundbreaking, opportunity. And it goes back to, and it's funny when I've talked to so many companies out there. My experience has kind of directed me in a way where I've heard these packaging folks tell me, well, it's, analog's better and it's this, it's all the same things we heard 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago. So
Yeah, yeah.
so it's a rinse and repeat, but but the markets are so massive, and I think it's an opportunity there.
So the dealers should be optimistic, and they should be, I guess, prudent, but it's a phenomenal opportunity going forward. That's basically what I hear you saying.
Yes, sir.
And
Absolutely.
seek your counsel.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure that we're gonna start marketing the heck out of that, and to the extent that our mission is to basically help this industry float all boats. That's our mission. We really want dealers to do well. Frankly, we want the business to do well, and I saw a very positive response to what we did at ECS in this area, and now we're going to have the wonderful opportunity to deliver you an expert in this field. Where else could they go to get a better person to work with? So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. So you and I have worked together for a long time, and I'm excited that we're going to be working together again. We're already planning on ECS 24, so we're already in the works to do some of that stuff. I want to come back to you on that one too, because we want to bring some of your old partnerships into the educational part of this. So your friends and partners that you worked with in the past. So when you look at the fear factor for a dealer, the number one thing you want to do is encourage them not to be afraid of this new business. So should they be afraid, or should they be like, let's get after this?
So that's a great question, and processing that, they should not be afraid, because it is how can I best position it? It's what they know it. It's what they're accustomed to. It's just understanding the application. Again, how to put, a drop or a dot on a page, whether it's paper or cardstock or whichever they're comfortable with. You move that into other environments. Remember, the workflow and the need to get all that out is still there, and they're untapped opportunities. In many cases, a lot of these commercial environments have to fend for themselves to go in and rectify and build. And I think the expertise that the dealer community has, the investment's already there. Yes, it's going to require a little bit of discipline and training to focus on this. And the vision I had with the group I formed, it's called the Center Reach Group. Not only does it talk about these markets, these robust markets, but also the approach that I've taken over the years and how to build sales organizations, how to create the specialization, building pipeline, how to go out and drive all that pipeline opportunities and having the analytics associated with it. All that is all part of it. And so there are a bunch of different components. How do you transition? It's not easy. You can't turnkey and find a digital packaging sales rep out there, or you can't find today folks that, if you're only penetrated the market 6 to 8%, there are not that many salespeople out there that know the digital market. So you've got to kind of nurture and develop those folks out there. And that's what I've done over the last 25 years, is build these organizations from scratch and took those little nuggets that we created years ago when we were at Ricoh, and what folks did at Canon, and all the wonderful what the dealers have built, and take those nuggets and evolve those nuggets into what that business is today. So
I like it. So it's essentially the same dot. It's the same process of putting dots on something. So it's a different dot. That's all it is, right? Different kind of dot. So, at the end of the day, we want to help these dealers grow profit and revenue. And for everybody, everyone in the audience, I encourage you to please reach out to us, and we're going to get you in contact with Frank, and we're going to help you grow this business. So, with that, a couple of final questions. For those of you in the audience that don't know, Frank, you're a super, super chef, an unbelievable chef. So I'm expecting that if we should create a deal with somebody, that we're going to get some braciole or something, some scampi or somewhere in there. Are we going to get that?
My specialty, a lot of people don't know this, I started working when I was 11. And this is the first time in how many years? My gosh, I don't want to date myself. I was 11 years old, and at the age of 12, I was working full-time in a restaurant, full-board restaurant. I was a sous chef. And then over the years, I worked my way through college, and then I stopped at the age of 26 and pursued my full-time employment, and what I'm doing today. But yeah, everything around the kitchen, from traditionally Italian, right up your wheelhouse, Mike.
So for all of you out there, Frank and I are obviously on Facebook, and every Christmas he does the Feast of the Seven Fishes. He does it all. And of course, for 3 weeks after that, I get nothing but abuse from my wife, because it's a terrible few days for me, but he is obviously great at it. And favorite, if you have one, Tony Bennett or Frank Sinatra song?
I'm going to have to say New York. I have to.
Of course.
That's my favorite. And then, of course, I like My Way. Those are my two.
Well, you're from New York, so it's a great pick. And My Way is kind of like the Italian national anthem, I think, for many of us. So another great pick. So Frank, look, we're thrilled you're joining the consortium. On a personal level, I can't tell you how excited I am to have the opportunity to be talking with you every day or every other day, and working with you and building something out that's going to help this industry at a professional level. I think all of you out there, I already know, how fortunate we are to have Frank available to you. The man has run an absolutely spectacular business at EFI. He's the most knowledgeable person in our business, particularly from the dealer community, OEM community, and print. Obviously, he knows fiery, and he knows heart. So, for all of you out there, you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to be a part of this, reach out to us. We'll get you in front of Frank. And Frank, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So we're excited, and we're going to talk to you soon. So thank you very much, Frank.
Mike, can I have one? I do have one more to add.
Yeah.
You talk about during the ECS that you looked at your mentors, and you were so gracious to share your mentors with all of us, which I found a spot in my heart for it. And I don't know if I told you this or told you this enough, but my success over the years was really based upon your guidance and your mentorship that you've had, that you influenced me. So you really did have a big influence in what you do today, and what people see you as is what you've impacted me in my career, in my life. And so to come back full circle and work with the ones you love, because it's real. there's nothing better. So I want to thank you again for all the wonderful guidance and direction that you've provided to me over the years, because it was spot on. So I thank
Well,
you for that.
it's very nice of you to say that. I accept it with all humility. You're a great friend. I appreciate it, and we're going to have fun going forward. So, Frank, I love you.
Thank you, Mike. I love you too. Thank you.
You got it.